If you read a science fiction novel that included names of conflicts like Global Conflict Y and Worldwide Fight 3, you would think that the book took place in some dystopian future or that the author was lazy. The name Global Conflict 1 evokes no emotion. It feels sterile and uncanny. Yet humanity's largest and bloodiest conflicts have names that follow the same convention. People have talked about World War I and World War II ad nauseum, so much so that we have become numb to the sheer banality of the name. At least the Russians call World War II the Great Patriotic War, which honestly is a much better name. This raises the obvious question: how did the world wars get their names? Why are they so generic? Are we doomed to follow this boring naming convention for the rest of history? World War III, World War IV, or even more? Fans of Franklin D. Roosevelt will be happy to learn that FDR also thought the name was silly, and he attempted to change it. Here is how we ended up with World War I and World War II as the names for history's two deadliest wars. World War I. Unsurprisingly, World War I did not get its name until there was a World War II. Before World War II, World War I was called a variety of things, including the European War, the Great War, or just the war. American media outlets were referring to World War I as the European War between 1914 and 1916. When the United States joined in the fight in 1917, some newspapers started calling it the World War, but not yet World War I. The British and other Commonwealth nations called World War I the Great War until the end of World War II. Once World War II got its name, the Great War was retroactively referred to as World War I to reflect the existence of a Second World War, World War II. The first instances of the words World War II actually came to us in 1919 and 1920. In the aftermath of the end of the Great War, some newspapers started writing op-eds about what the world should do differently in the event of another Great War. In these theoretical articles, they referred to the next war as World War II. This is similar to how people today talk about a hypothetical future World War IIIs. In 1941, President Roosevelt referred to the war engulfing the world as the Second World War. Roosevelt was not the first person to use this language, but there was the first major world leader to make such a declaration. The name stuck. After FDR started calling the war the Second World War, Americans followed suit. Once Americans started calling it World War II, so too did the media and then the rest of the world. Despite accidentally coining the broad use of the term Second World War, Roosevelt did not like the name. It was too generic, so he tried to change it. FDR tries to change the name. In 1942, President Roosevelt appealed to the American people to come up with a suitable name for the great conflict raging around the world. Many suggestions were floated, including the War of Survival and the War for Civilization. Another name that was floated was the War Against Enslavement. At one point, the War Department predecessor to the Department of Defense received 15,000 suggestions for a new name for World War II. None of these alternate names stuck. Roosevelt was right to feel that World War II was too plain and generic a name for such a devastating conflict, but he couldn't manage to get enough momentum to change the name officially. For making it official, the name for World War II was officially codified in 1945 during the signing and drafting of surrender documents. During the flurry of negotiations, treaties, plans, memorandums, and official statements, the name World War II was used in earnest. Once treaties were signed with this name on them, it became official. The Second World War would forever be known simply as World War II. Once World War II was officially named, World War I received its official name retroactively. Before the end of World War II, World War I was still known largely as the Great War. None of the documents signed at the end of World War I called it such because, at that point, there had been no World War II. Therefore, both World War I and World War II received their official names in 1945, when the monikers were codified. Conclusion: Worldwide Fight the 3 sounds like the title of a bad video game. Yet, our wars are named in a very similar fashion. During the interwar period, it became clear that there might be another global war, and people started whispering about World War II long before Hitler's tanks rolled into Poland. FDR started calling the war the Second World War in his addresses, and the name stuck. For better or for worse, we have two of the worst names for two of the worst conflicts in history. To be fair, Americans have never been creative about naming anything. Twitter is now just called X, and there are 90 different places in the country with the name Washington. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this video and found it informative, don't forget to like and subscribe for more content like this. Your support helps our channel grow and reach more viewers. Until next time, keep exploring the fascinating world of history.